Hi, it's Nicole from Snazzy Scrapping. Michelle asked me to pop on and just show you quickly how I made this Christmas card using her geometric block background. So rather than do another Christmas version, I thought I'd change it up a bit and use some more masculine type of colours and make a birthday card. So using some glittery cardstock, you need to cut 2 of the geometric backgrounds. The first you just cut straight out of cardstock, and the second you'll need to apply jack paper, but I'll cover that shortly. Okay, so I've done that, and all the pieces are still in the die, which is what you want at this stage. Then get just a plain piece of cardstock that will fit the card panel or the die cut, and just cover it in jack paper. And just trim off any excess. Okay. So we're now going to remove the backing of the adhesive and sticky side up. We're just going to lay the die onto the exposed adhesive. There will obviously be excess around the sides, but that's okay. We're going to trim that down later. Now with your finger or pokey tool or something, just pop pressure onto every single segment of the die, including the frame. So you'll need to push through the holes because you want the entire panel, including the outside frame, to adhere to the exposed adhesive. Okay. Just give it a go and lift the die. It's looking promising. Oh, there's one dot. Okay, so that's what you're wanting at this stage. Just double check that none has still been left in the die. Actually, there is one, I think. That might have been an offcut. Yep, that's all good. Okay, now where there is exposed adhesive, you could either trim it off now, or what I like to do is use my anti-static powder tool, which is just an old sock with some talc powder in it. I just run that over the exposed adhesive, which removes the stickiness so it doesn't keep sticking to your fingers, and then you can put it in your trimmer later on and cut off the excess. And it also doesn't then make the blades of your trimmer all sticky. Okay. So the markers I'm going to be using today, just these textures and a Sharpie. For the Christmas ones, I used a green and the red in the texture, and this sort of sort of like a liquidy paint pen. But I actually did this one yesterday, just doing some samples of different colour ranges that you could possibly use in it. And these were just different markers that I bought from different shops. There's some Sharpies and permanent markers. Anything, particularly now with back to school stuff, supplies being abundant in the shops, you could probably pick up different things. And it's just interesting the different effects that you get with the different markers. But any colour range would work well with this design. Okay, so basically you just want to colour in each area of the die. So I actually go outside the lines to ensure that you've reached the actual very edge of the die, or the die cut, if that makes sense. So it doesn't matter how rough a job you do, as long as you get complete coverage of the actual die cut area. You can be as messy as you like. Some of the markers tend to, well, most of the markers I use tend to dry virtually straight away. This one actually takes a couple of seconds for it. I think it sort of soaks in, or it dries differently. So you might just have to be aware of that. But it's just experimenting. Different colour schemes, different markers. I guess you could use your alcohol markers if you have those. There's lots of different products that you could use on this. Now, I'm not going to bore you with all the colouring in. I'll finish it and I'll come back. Okay, so almost done. As you can see, I haven't taken much care at all, and I've just actually always gone over the lines just to make sure I've got complete coverage. Okay, so I'm now going to go and trim the edging off with my trimmer. Okay, so now we trim that down. We're going to set that aside. I've actually gone ahead and die cut the second panel, but this time I actually put jack paper on the back of the cardstock, okay, before I ran the die through. Now, with the extra layer of the jack paper behind it, it's a little bit harder to cut through. As you can see, some of the parts cut straight through and others didn't give a complete cut. The thing I like to use to help with, particularly with intricate dies, of getting a really good cut, is either a metal shim that you pop underneath your base plate, or if you don't have a metal shim, you can actually use packaging foam that you get furniture or, you know, stuff from, some packages come wrapped up in it in different thicknesses. You just pop that on the cardstock and then pop it underneath your cardstock, sorry, I should say. So the die, cardstock, and then the foam in between your plates. It actually, I don't know, acts as a cushion or something, and it really helps with the removal of intricate die pieces. So as I said, that's now got the jack paper attached to it. So what we're going to do is just this back a smidge. I want to turn it upside down. Now you could use, you don't have to use the glitter cardstock. I just really like the effect that it gives. You could use plain coloured cardstock. And the other thing you can do with this die, of course, you could do the proper die cut inlay, which is where you cut all the pieces out and pop them in. However, that would be very, very time consuming, given that there's so many little fine intricate pieces to the die. It would be very time consuming. So this is my cheat on how to get the same sort of effect, but in way less time. The other thing I like too is you could get children to colour it in, because they don't have to stay within the lines, because you're covering up the mess with this layer that we're adhering now. So it might be a good, just notice one little spot that I haven't coloured. It might be a really good technique for children to make for cards. I find once you've laid your cover sheet over the top, you can't really go back in and mark anything, because it will then go on to the top one. But there's the finished card in the masculine type of theme. Now, with a bit of the off-cut from the cardstock, I actually used Michelle's, the Curly Sue brand sentiment stamp set in the Happy Birthday. And that's the stamp. And I used one of her sentiment sets. This was the number 3 set, and the largest die in that to cut. And I just coloured it in with gold, the gold pen, and then I stamped in Stays On. I stamped the sentiment so it would not rub off. Now we're just going to adhere it with some double-sided tape. You could use glue, you could use... Actually, I've changed my mind. I'm going to use some foam just to pop it up a bit, to give it a bit more definition. I hope if we put it up the right way. And put that on. Okay, so I've just applied some double-sided tape. Peel back opposite corners a little bit. A little bit in the middle, and remove the adhesive from the middle. Line it up until you're happy with it. Push down in the middle and remove all the sides. And there you've got a masculine birthday card and the Christmas one. So as you can see, the geometric block background die is very versatile, and keeping in mind the colour samples that I did for the female version, you could use them for a lot of occasions. And any permanent marker that you have, you could get the same sort of effect. I hope you found that interesting today, and thanks for watching. Bye.